So Will's going to start. He's going to do the inaugural shop talk, and I'm going to introduce him briefly here. So Will started timber framing after a coursework with James Mitchell in the log and timber work at the Island School of, I'm sorry, after coursework with James Mitchell in log and timber work at the Island School of Building Arts, and that's in British Columbia. And when he completed that, he went on to the American College of the Building Arts, where he received a Bachelor's of Applied Sciences with a major in timber framing. Quite an accomplishment. He was a member of the inaugural class, if I'm not mistaken. After graduating, he became a journey worker in the Guild's apprenticeship training program. Apparently, he is a glutton for punishment. He just keeps training, and they worked up and down the East Coast, including at Lancaster Timber Frames in Pennsylvania. He spent the last 5 years working at Trillium Dell, where he held the latest position that he held there was a position of lead side manager, responsible for all aspects of project management. In other words, Will is really well experienced. I know Will from working with him on a number of the Guild's community building workshops over the last few years. He tries to attend at least one project a year, but oftentimes it's more than one. And whether he's managing it or he's or instructing there, he'll still go even if he's not doing that. Which is just an example of his leadership. So Will show up with a bunch of his company tools and a willingness to do whatever it takes. He'll jump in and do whatever the lead team needs him to do. And he has a way about him that just exudes confidence and support for the lead team and for the volunteers alike. So without further ado, Will, you're on program.
All right, so like Max said, I'm Will Denton with Messick Vail, which is, I guess, the new incarnation of Trillium Dell. And we'd like to show off our new shop. It's a work in progress. We just got the CO in December, so we're trying to improve it every day. And I'm open for any questions on process, tooling, etc. I'll do a quick walkthrough, and then we can probably jump back for questions. So we'll begin the tour. Let's see here. So we are in downtown Galesburg, Illinois. This is the old National Guard Armory that we've moved our shop into. There's the main circle in town, so we're trying to be part of this movement to revitalize downtown Galesburg.
Well, let me interrupt you for a second, folks. If you're just looking at 25 different names and you want to get a larger picture, you go up to the upper right hand corner and click on speaker view, and then you're going to see a big picture just of the person speaking, and you'll see Will's presentation.
So we'll start off. This is our plan room and office. Where we have a space that we can shut the door and get a little break from all the noise that happens out here in the shop. We've got just under 10,000 square feet here. And our shop is divided into, we have a couple of purpose-built sections with our stationary tools over here. We have this big old guy that we've been working on for a little bit now, trying to get up and running. It's a 30-inch double-sided planer. Can do up to 15 inches thick. That will rough out the majority of our timbers, get them to size. Up on the balcony here is where we keep all of our rigging and hardware and other things vital to the raising.
It's 5:30. No.
And then back here, is our assembly area.
We have lots of time.
So we do a lot of our assembly and our pre-fit over here. We have our Rex tensioner. This is a piece of equipment. It's a 5-sided cross-cut table saw that cuts tenons all in one pass, end cut, shoulders, tenon cheeks. We have our fastener room in here where we have all screws, bolts, etc. Stored in this room. We do a lot of work here at Messick Vail. We do new construction, restoration, commercial work, a little bit of everything. So we have to be tooled and outfitted to handle all those tasks. There's our break room, lunch area. So in the shop right now, we have some doors, a staircase, these curved benches. We've been doing all the curved work ourselves, making custom-made curved glue lambs for all of these. There's not hardly a straight piece in this whole frame. Here's the curves waiting for finish. Curves currently being clamped up. And then we have a frame that will be going out next week for assembly, installation. More fine woodworking back there. And then we've got our tool room, which we try to keep organized. Cordless, general carpentry tools, and then of course the timber framing tools back here. Does anybody have any questions or want to go into something more in depth?
Unmute yourselves, folks, if you have a question.
I have a question. I want to know what's your yard like there? What's it like? What's it like for storage? With timber and things like that. For outside stuff for being in the middle of town.
We still we have our yard back at our the old Trillium shop over at Rick Collins's house, and then we bring stuff in here as it's needed. To answer a question, there isn't much of a yard. I'll show you. We got a small parking lot, but we do use that for storage, but it's much more limited than a traditional yard space. So here we go.
So Will, how do you transport from where you were to where you are? Do you have a big long truck, or do you have a crane, or how do you transport this stuff from the one place to the other?
It all depends on the size and the quantity. Anything from trailers to hiring out a trucking company with a flatbed. Most of our stuff we can transport ourselves. And then because we have a narrow door, I think it's either 14 or 16 feet wide, with curbing on either side, so we can't, snake it in, do the Austin Powers to get it in. We use these running gear to bring it all in. In the long-term plan, we'd be getting a side lift, forklift, or a combi lift to make it through that door.
Will, I got a question about your glue ups there, since you showed them. Are you ripping those from larger pieces and trying to get the grain to sort of match? Are you doing any steam bending, or what's the process there?
We are doing, we are getting them from larger pieces and ripping them down and then sending them through the planer. No steam bending. We just make sure that the laminations are thin enough. And with these, they're about 5/16 thick. On others, we've gone as little as an 1/8 inch, depending on the radius.
And what are you
And we just-
filling the cracks with? We see some cosmetic stuff there.
Epoxy.
Okay.
We're using Type Bond 3 as our glue, and we've also got curves here cut from solid sawn. So it all depends on what the curve is, what the nature of the beam is.
Do you
So
use
this
your
is gonna be-
shavings to cut with the glue to kind of match the wood grain at all, or just the glue fills it?
We use so the finish on this is going to be a Heritage Natural Finishes exterior oil, and we mix in Mixol for pigment for the stain, and then we'll use that same Mixol in the epoxy to mix it up to tint it.
Thanks.
Hey, well, it's Todd and Mary.
Hi, Todd.
I got a since we've actually been to the to the old Trillium shop over there. You had a 4-headed planer over there and a bunch of stuff in the beamer. Is that stuff all pretty much moved out of there, other than the 4-headed planer to the new place here? Then
We no longer have the 4-headed planer, but yeah, pretty much. We have inventory in the sawmill in Knoxville. But most of the tooling is here now.
did you get rid of the 4-headed planer because you just weren't using it enough, or easier to get it other places done?
That's a long topic of discussion there. But yes, a number of different reasons. But yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So
Will, how many people are you anticipating would be able to work in this space? What's the max capacity, you think?
I'd say that we could probably keep. It's a tough question. I think 8 to 10 people, all working pretty good with enough space. We could probably cram in a few more. I'll put anybody to work. Another thing that was great about the Trillium shop is that we had housing and lodging available for itinerants or traveling carpenters, which we still have there. But the goal is, and like I said, this is a work in progress. The goal is that we'd eventually do that here. So we have, I don't know about lights up here. So we have other office space, which could potentially be offices or lodging available on site here. So as you can see, we've got plenty of space in here, and eventually turn at least a couple of these rooms into dormitory style living space.
Will, would you like to talk a little bit about how it came to be that you guys are setting up a new shop in an old armory? Or how was that part of a larger sort of revitalization plan in Galesville there, or what? How did it happen?
So we've moved our new shop here. We've also moved our offices. Our offices are part of that plan. We have bought the old City Hall of Galesburg, which we've been restoring for the last 2 or 3 years now. So all of our offices, our design studio, our project management, all take place about 2 blocks from here at Old City Hall. And we're in the process right now of trying to do the same thing here at the Armory. we felt, it was tough working in the middle of nowhere. We with deliveries in the winter, roads get posted for winter weights, and on and on and on. Inadequate power. This is the first time that we've actually had we've had 3-phase, which is nice. And all of our equipment now is, hooked up and hardwired, as opposed to, getting by in an older shop that was, it was a great shop, but it didn't have the potential that this space has for us. And we were at this limiting factor at Rick's place where, if we want to grow and we want to, build the company, we have pretty much maxed out what we had in Knoxville. And so, there's only a couple of options. We can build a bigger, newer shop, invest heavily into infrastructure and add more power. We could build a newer shop somewhere in town where we don't have to invest as heavily in the infrastructure, but we still have to get a new shop. Or we rent some space that's been here. This building was sitting vacant, I think, for almost 20 years. So, from about, let's say, from August to December, we were bringing everything up to code. We had to provide a firewall between our shop and the rest of the building. So, like you can see here, all that sheetrock, that's 6 layers of 5/8 sheetrock, 3 layers on each side with 2x4 steel studs and fire retardant rock wool, 3-hour fire rated doors. So we had to build up quite a bit so we could actually, before we could even do business here. But we want to, preserve history and preserve, the building is here, and as you can see, it's a wonderful shop space. I believe it's 75 by about 100, 120. And our last shop, I think, was 45 by 75. So it's nice to have a little more space. You could fit several of our last shop into this one building. But like with anything, I think Mac made a comment a little while ago that how big is too big. You can see now it fills up pretty quickly.
Hey, Will, can you tell us what Messick Vail means?
Messick is think about like the Mesozoic era. It's a wet forest, and vale is another word for valley. So it's
Okay.
just kind of similar play on Trillium Dell.
Alrighty.
Any other questions for Will? I would say that I did look at a shop with Peter Dixon one time that was 800 feet long, and we thought it might be enough, but we weren't certain.
So real quick, I'll just go over our rigging area. Got hydraulic jacks for lifting buildings, beam rollers, steel for the jacks, timber clamps, cabling, hydraulic hoses, lug-alls, crane straps, and everything else. Harnesses and temporary teleposts. Any other questions?
Really nice, Will.
Yeah, man, nice job. I'm jealous.
Come on out here.
There's more room in Galesburg. Is there, Will?
There's always room in Galesburg.
That's a nice shot. That's a nice space, Will.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I hate to take you back to your four-headed planer, but I'm thinking about buying one. And if you could maybe talk a little bit more about some of the problems you had with it.
So what we had, let's see here. Rick, are you on the line? I think I saw you earlier.
Yeah, I'm on.
Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can. I mean, what we had was a Weinig Profimat 45 for about 15 years. And essentially it was a big molder. And we've been processing hardwoods here for a long time. And that machine just wasn't capable of the roughing that we needed done. And it also ran on 380 volt, 50 hertz motors. And so when we moved to this shop, I just was unwilling to move that machine and do the upgrades that I needed. And it really wasn't the roughing planer that we needed. And I also felt like for that machine, you know, we just never really competed in the commodities market for making 2x and 3x material, which is really what that thing is geared up for. It's also a good machine to do log work on, like D-logs and stuff. So for us, it just, it worked okay for 10 or 15 years, but it just wasn't the right machine for our business. And so we sold it and we settled on this two-sider. And at some point in time, we'll probably put in a four-sided roughing machine and perhaps a smaller molder than the Profimat 45. It was just kind of the wrong machine for us, and it was for a long time, and I just decided to get rid of it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Will?
Yes, sir.
It looks like you're on a concrete floor there. You on grade, or do you have weight limitations to what you can pile in there? Timbers and tools get kind of heavy sometimes.
Yeah, and remember this was an armory, so it is on grade, and it is built to the the entirely crazy government specs. You know, I'm sure that they engineered it so you could drive a tank in here. And it's yeah, you can kind of, I don't know if you can see there, but you know, you've got all the parking spots and whatnot. You know, we haven't had an issue, you know, and we put a lot of weight in here. You know, that two-sided planer, for instance, weighs 9,600 pounds. But you know, no cracks yet.
That's a 12-inch slab, Todd.
Okay, thanks. I just hate to see you end up in the basement someday.
No, not going in the basement. That thing's a bunker.
We have a basement on the other side of the wall here, and there's a rifle range down the basement.
Oh, cool. So can we bring our guns and shoot it on lunch breaks then?
I'm sure we could arrange something.
Any other questions for Will? Will, I mean, Rick and Nicole, great to see you guys again. Really, thanks for making this available to us. I'm sure we were all wondering what's going on with Trillium Dell, and now we know what's going on with Trillium Dell. A whole lot of good things, it looks like, and it looks like it's good for Galesburg as well. So that's really sweet.
Well, thanks for giving us the opportunity to show it off.
I got one more question.
Go ahead, Hunter.
Why are you guys rebranding and changing your name?
No comment.
Oh, okay.
All right. Any other final questions?
Oh, Will, did I see a Messick S machine in your tool room?
A Messick what?
A Messick S 1960s, 50s vintage chain mortiser, 3-phase.
Yeah, we have two of those. Yep. So those are for doing the large mortises. We've had a couple instances where, we need a plunge, and I think those will plunge about 9 3/4 deep. So they're heavy, and but they work great as long as you can lug them around.
Yeah. Nice.
You guys don't need to have a railing on the balcony there.
It's being built. It's in work. So, we try to budget a little bit every week to continue with this build out.
Right. Is that an original floor? I mean, that floor looks like an awfully good shape for having been that old, or has been refinished, or what's the?
As far as I know, it's original.
Looks nice.
Yeah. And there's some low spots here and there, but it's been really nice to build off of. And when we're making jigs and whatnot, it's a nice flat surface that we can go off of.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. That building was built in 1906.
Mm-hmm.
The slab is 12 inches thick. I sort of have the suspicion it was put in the 40s. The concrete is really super nice stuff. Not a hairline crack anywhere. And that building's 85 by 135, and it really is an amazing floor. But I think it's probably 40s era.
And then also because it was an armory, these bricks are super tough, also super hard. We've when trying to mount stuff to the walls and whatnot, they're 18 inches thick, solid brick masonry, which is, like Rick said, it's like a bomb shelter.
It's for sheltering bombs.
Well, thanks again, folks. Really appreciate the time and the openness. You're sharing what you have there. Again, good things happening there in Galesburg for sure. In the interest of time, Eric, I'm going to ask you to get yourself ready because we've got 25 minutes left, and I'd like for you to get the opportunity to show us your shop. A quick introduction for Eric, and I could have made it quicker, but I like the story. Eric was quite literally born into construction. I'm reading this from his board of directors bio. 54 years ago, the Liberian mining company located in Balmy Hills, Liberia, in Western Africa, wished to purchase a new Caterpillar D8 tractor. There was a trade-in involved, and as often the case, both parties had not yet reached an agreement as to the trade-in value. Because Balmy Hills is a company mining town, the hospital is also owned by them, and it boasted a new birthing center. The salesman representing the Caterpillar Tractor Company mentioned that he and his wife were expecting a baby, and a smile slowly spread across the face of the mining company's accountant. He turned to his coworker and asked, "Exactly how far apart are we?" Everybody laughed and shook hands, and the deal was sealed. And the man selling the D tractor, of course, was Eric Morley's dad. So Eric was part of a construction deal before he was born. He was born in Monrovia, Liberia. That's an unusual place for Americans to be born. But they were kicked out of the country, kicked out of Tripoli in 1969 as a result of Colonel Gaddafi's coup d'etat. So there you go. You know, have you ever had to flee for fear of being involved in a coup d'etat? They went on to live in Switzerland and France for a decade, and landed at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where he did earn his undergraduate education, earning an MBA from Appalachian State University in 1992. He's a lifetime member of the Timber Framers Guild, and he is a licensed general contractor, teaches the AIA continuing education courses on timber framing, and is a public photographer. And this is how I really got to know Eric, was just his willingness to come and take photographs of the workshops and drone videos of the workshop. Eric is extremely talented in many ways, and one of those ways is in photography and videography. So you can go to his website and take a look at some of the drone videos that he has taken of the buildings, which are beautiful buildings in and of their own right, but the videos themselves are excellent. So without further ado, board of directors, both of these men are on the board of directors. So board of director Eric Morley. Please, Eric.
Well, Mac, thank you for that introduction. I hope you can hear me okay.
Can.
Okay. I do want to say also, Will, thank you for that beautiful tour. I'm jealous because we don't have a rifle range, that's for sure. And I would like to point out, you know, something that what Will did there, and Rick, you know, was the most sustainable option. Okay. And, you know, that's to take an existing building and, excuse me, truck going by, an existing building and work from that. But, you know, we looked and looked here and we couldn't find one. So I'll start video here. Okay. So let me turn that around. Okay. Well, you don't want to see me for a minute. Derek, help me out here. Let's see, where is it? Okay.
Like I said, an extremely talented videographer.
So are you looking at me or are you guys seeing?
We're looking at you, Eric.
Nose. Oh, rats. Okay. There we go. Okay, here we go. All right. Sorry about that. So as Mac was saying, I don't know anything about photography, but so we're in West Jefferson, North Carolina, in an industrial park that we bought the land about 12 years ago. And so we've got fair amount of, for up here, fair amount of flat land yard. And there's our building. We'll walk over toward it. So the shape of the building came about, well, kind of accidentally, to be truthful, but it turned out that all the old mills back in the 1900s here in Western North Carolina had that monitor roof shape. So it was kind of a happy coincidence that we like that shape. And I do want to ask if anybody's got any questions, please, please stop me. I'm going to be walking here with Derek, and then Gesh is over there at our doorway. So how do I get it? Oh, Mac, you had to say that about me being a good videographer.
Well, it's true. It's true, Eric. But you never watch sausage being made. But this is a lovely gash. This is a lovely gash. Eric Morley's lovely wife.
Hi, Gash. And so would you like to?
Well, I'll tour the office areas. This is our conference room. It's where our customers most often meet.
Darling, you want to mention the?
Recently become a distributor for the bark house. So we display the poplar bark in here, and then the white bark, birch bark is in the other room. We're pretty proud. Broke ground on the 15th of May and moved in December 13th.
So roughly a little less than 7 months from groundbreaking to move in.
Wanted a really open concept. This is production and sales. There you go, there's the white birch.
And the timbers you see up above, are just new white oak, and without
Electrician that would run the conduit like we wanted it.
Guess she's gonna be mad I'm filming her butt.
We've never had a break room at all, so we're really happy to have that.
Eric, keep in mind we are recording, just so you know.
Okay, thanks. I'll try to keep it clean. That's what editing's for.
We find our customers like a clean place to go to the restroom.
So we've got a guest bath or upstairs bath. This is looking down, well, obviously looking down the upstairs.
The designer's obviously not here right now.
And I don't know if you can hear Gesh, but this is the designer's area. And we're going to go into mine and Gesh's office, and you're going to see on her side, it's nice and, okay, desk is organized, everything else, okay. On the other hand, on my side, not so much. Haven't really moved in yet, and I'm just. Well, I'll keep it clean. Okay. So one thing we are kind of proud of though is this old phone, and you go, well, what good is that? But the really, oops. Okay, the really cool thing is down here. I don't know if you can read it, but it says USFS, United States Forest Service. So we joke that it's fun to have a direct line to the U.S. Forest Service. That's funny right there.
Yes.
Ha
We're all laughing, Eric.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. What were you going to say?
The construction of our building.
Oh, yeah. So the construction of our building, well, we're looking at a glue lamp. And it was the most efficient way we could enclose a space, which is the building footprint is 75 by 80. And it is entirely enclosed in SIPs from Chris Bloom at Muris. And we are astonished at how energy efficient and comfortable this building is. You owe me for that, Chris.
Hey, Eric, do you have a noise issue in the office?
That's a really good question, Stephen. We did buy triple pane windows, okay, on the wall on the office on the wall that separates the office from the shop. And we also staggered the studs in that wall, and it seems to be working really well.
And used rock wool insulation.
Yeah, and it's rock wool insulation in there too.
It's probably the worst sound is just, you do hear people upstairs and down, but the shop noises don't bother us at all.
Yeah, because that's just, looking up here, that's just, 2x6 T&G on top of timbers. Okay, so now we'll go out in the shop. And I guess we'll start down here at the door. The doors we're really happy to have. Our previous shop, putting things in context, was on the side of a mountain in a residential neighborhood and absolutely miserable to bring tractor trailers in and out of. So this door is 20 feet, I think, Derek, by 14. And we love it. We love having the glass too. And I'll step back here so you can start to see the main shop space. It's just one big open space. And then the fun thing is that monitor roof, I'll see if I can look up here, okay, lets an incredible amount of light, natural light in. And it's just, I mean, you hardly need the lights during the day. So,
It brings the light very far inside the building.
yes, exactly.
And a clear
right.
story is perfect for that.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things we wanted to do is, I'll go over here and look back. We wanted everybody in the building to feel like a part of the same organization. So, you know, out here when you're in the shop, you can see what everybody's doing in the offices, and vice versa. We can see we're all working, you know, and all part of the same company. And we used to be in a very small U-shaped building that we, you know, any of you who have been there will agree with me, and I've heard it so many times, you know, I can't believe those guys were able to do what they could do in that shop. And you really don't need a big shop, as we know, as we all know. But so one of the things about the this building that the building code required, because it's more than 2,500 square feet of woodworking space, we had to put in a sprinkler. So you can kind of see it on the far end. And that was a big benefit to being in an industrial park. You know, plenty of water, three-phase power, etc. And let me think. So one of the fun things are these pictures, and to give you scale, they're 8 feet tall, each one of those. And there was a railroad that went through this area a long time ago, took it down in the 70s. And it turned out my great grandfather worked for the lumber company just across the border in Virginia, this in a little town called Conorock. So that's what that particular picture is about. The other one, don't know how well you can see it. If you could see those chestnut trees here in western North Carolina. And I read something amazing last night. It was never heard it said before, but they said, you know, chestnuts are the redwoods, or were the redwoods of the East. And I thought that was pretty neat. So the final picture is up here is Tuckerdale, and it's a town. It was the second stop on the railroad, and the neat thing is, you know, we're actually looking in that direction, and you can see the lumber piled up there. And you know, of course, there is no more town there anymore, but you can see the clear cutting. You can see what happened here. So, Derek, have I anything you can think of that I've not covered?
Most of it. You want to discuss it a little bit? Future plans?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So future plans. You may have noticed this bump out here, and that's we're buying a Hundigger, have one on order, and it will be here in April, May, I think. So it was nice. One nice thing about that, building a new building, you know, we could accommodate for it. Like where I'm standing, the slab's 12 inches. Yeah, 12 inches here, where the machine will go. So see if I can show you. So here's part of the pit. There'll be a conveyor belt there under the machine, and the shavings will come under there, fall onto another conveyor belt that will go up and out the building to the left of where Gesh is standing. So, and that, you know, that'll be a big change for us. For 17 years we've hand cut, and we don't intend to give up hand cutting, you know. Just want you to see this project. This is a fun one. I'm dying to fly our drone in here tomorrow and just see what this looks like. So that's the tour of our shop, and be happy to answer any questions anyone has. Or
Are drones a hazard for your employees, Eric, that they have to deal with regularly?
You know, as you know, Mac, I'm very proud now to be an officially licensed FAA remote pilot. And you cannot fly over people under any circumstance unless they're in a car. So the answer to your question is yes, except I don't do it.
Eric, what's your is your yard there? Is it is it gravel, or is there pavement, or what? How do you handle your stock storage and such outside and that sort of thing?
Oh, it's all gravel, and what we, you know, phase 2 of this will be we need some outside storage. I mean, you know, and so we'll add a shed to the building, and then eventually another building. So, like Will's shop, I mean, we're, you know, continually. It's a work in progress, but and you know we've you can't really see it. Well, I'll see if I can show it to you. Hold on. But the back of the property slopes up quite a bit, and what we're kind of hoping is that someday we're going to find somebody who really wants dirt, and I don't know how that'll show up here, but we've got enough space in the back of the building to, you know, turn around and so forth. But eventually it'd be nice to take this hillside and, you know, take it up and get some more flat space. But here's what the building looks like from the, you know, from the outside at the back. And we don't really load tractor trailers here. You know, we pretty much bring them out with a forklift, and then we'll load over here with a lull.
I'm quite impressed with how quiet that door is.
Thank you, Mac. It's funny, we bought the door, and the guy goes, he said, "Oh yeah, we can do that." And then his installer tells me later, he's like, "You know, that's the biggest door we've ever put in. You should have us come back about every 6 months just to be sure everything's okay."
That's a pretty big change from the old shop, Eric.
It is, Stephen. Yeah, it is. And by the way, the old shop's for sale if anybody, you know, wants to be another timber framer in the Boone area. Stephen?
Yeah, the old shop's too small and hard to work in. I don't know how you got by working in there.
I don't know. I really don't know. So.
Yeah, Tudor arches, which is a style of the glue lamps that he has. They're very, very efficient at grabbing huge volumes of space.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm glad you said that, Mac, because when we were building the building, you know how mistakes happen, and sometimes that, you know, they turn out to be a really good thing. So we were building a building, and I was getting a little bit irritated because the locals would come up all the time and say, "What's it going to be, a church?" You know, and I would joke, you know, "Yes, it's a church of wood," you know, and everything else. And so anyway, we had shiny metal corrugated siding, Gesh, I think, right?
Yeah, I was very specific about the siding, and when it came, it was not what I'd specified. And I kind of threw what we call in the South the duck fit, and we ended up getting the Corten. That's the name it goes by.
Yeah.
And it just made all the difference in the world. It went from looking like a cheap new building to,
Well, it doesn't look like a church anymore. That's the good thing.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a church. And I love the way that has weathered and looks.
And I hate that came up because now Stephen will forever, you know, kid me about a church here. So.
I
A
take
timber
it.
frame shop and a church are basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I like the way you think, Stephen.
So churches in your neck of the woods are they look cheap. I take it then. Churches.
No comment. This is being recorded.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I don't see much in the way of sawdust or wood chips or tools there. Do you guys actually work there, and where do you hide all that stuff?
No, we really don't, see. And Stephen Morrison does all of our work for us, and we just ship it over here and
photograph it.
Yeah, and photograph it, and then I call him a bitch, and I don't pay his full invoices, but no. So that's we're I mean, we've only been here since January 1st, so we're still figuring it out. We're still moving out of our old shop, but we didn't have a grand plan where stuff's going to go. So, for now, okay, we brought our old, stuff back. These cabinets are full of hardware and so forth. And the real answer to your question is there are 2 shipping containers up on the hill, and that's where we keep all our junk.
The ugly tools.
Yeah, the ugly tools, Cash says. Yeah. Well, the other thing was, it's just hard because, I mean, that hunt digger is going to take up all that 80 feet, along that side. So, it's all going to change. So it's kind of, we're just not trying to get too comfortable in here yet, and seeing how it evolves.
Yeah.
Ability is key for us right now.
What?
Keeping tools mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. So we move stuff around.
I feel the same way as you, Eric. We've just moved in here. Our last shop was 25 years in the making, whereas now we've tried to cram all that 25 years into 3 months.
Thank you. Well put. Exactly. And I'm sure some people could, really, they could draw it. They could put every tool where they want and say, okay, the table saw is going here and the bandsaw's over there, and we built this building ourselves, and we just didn't have time to think. It was like changing your oil and driving 55 miles an hour at the same time. We got it done.
Well, one thing I think the building, the overall effect of the building from the outside right through the offices and the structure is attention to detail and a touch for design. This is absolutely beautiful. A beautiful shop. I can't imagine that your customers have any doubt about your ability to design you guys. It looks great.
Well, thank you very much, Mac, and thanks to all of you for your interest and you're taking your time to look at our shop, and we look forward to seeing your shops.
Really nice, Eric. Thank you for the tour.
Thank you, Brenda.
I would like to ask any of the folks that are on the call today that have an interest in sharing in this series that we're going to be calling Talkin Shop, to please contact us at the Guild office, either info or staff at tfguild.org, or a director of your choice, and let us know that you'd be interested to do a shop tour. I think this is quite amazing, the number of people we have. I think that's fantastic, and it indicates we might have a pretty good topic here. So,
I'd personally love to see next round a couple of smaller shops, smaller operation and also physically smaller shop, and see, how people work with the smaller space and get their work done. Be a really nice contrast.
Any final questions for either Will or Eric, or the board of directors that are on the call? We have a number.
Mac, this is Raul. I still have a question I've been trying to get answered. Is anything happening for Lake Rossiger this year, or is that going to be next year?
Lake Rossiger is done. The White Horse Park Pavilion will be raised in September of this year. And so it'll be a community raising. Almost all the fabrication, Raul, as you know, you were there. Almost all the fabrication on the White Horse Park Pavilion is complete. But believe it or not, I don't have a contract, and I'm not even sure we're going to be able to develop a contract before the thing is going to happen. But there is the Oso Memorial Portals, which is a workshop that came to my attention about a week ago, and they want it to be complete by March 21st of 2020. So within about a month. And so there's going to be notification on the Oso Memorial Portals workshop, which is going to happen probably 7 days from the 14th to the 21st or in that vicinity, which will be the 2 entryways that will access the eventual Oso Memorial itself, which will be, I hope, will be asked to do the that workshop as well, and building the Oso Memorial. The Oso Memorial has to do with a mudslide that where 43 people were killed. People in this area were inundated with a landslide, a mud landslide, and died. And so this is a very very important community effort, and I think that's why they want to try to pull this off in this short period of time and demonstrate to the to Snohomish County and the broader community around them that that they are, you know, they are in the process of recovery, and you know, from such a horrific and tragic event, and this is going to be the start of it. So look for it in weekly guild notes. We're really only going to need probably 15 volunteers. We'll need a mix of, as always, a mix of novice and experienced timber framers. And obviously it'll be a first come, first served basis. So you'll get a preview of that tonight. Thanks for asking, Ray.
Well, one last question, Max. So if that, I was part of the White Horse build, the one that was scribed. So that was the one that I was going to be on. But if that's later, I can make one trip up there. I was thinking either that or the conference. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just do the conference. I'm not sure I'll be able to be free in September.
We would love to have you at the conference, Raul.
Okay.
Yeah, love to have you join us at Samayamo Resort. That'd be great. And all the people on the call this evening, everybody that's make your plans now. June 5th, 6th, and 7th with a pre-conference on the 4th, and we'd love to see you there. We'll get into the details with Will and Eric at that time. They're going to be there.
Max buying all the drinks.
That's right. The ED's got to be good for something, Stephen. All right. Any other closing comments? Smart or otherwise? All right. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one. It'll be about a month from now. Keep an eye on weekly guild notes. We'll let you know in advance. Maybe it'll be a Talkin Shop, a series of Talkin Shop, or maybe we'll come up with a topic to intervene. I noticed that I've got a couple of comments here. I don't know, Andrea, did you get a chance to cut them? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, folks.
Nice. Thank you,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you.